He is a two-time Bassmaster Elite Series champion. He is a two-time Bassmaster Classic qualifier. He's never finished out of the top 2 in Angler of the Year. He's never finished out of the top 2 in the Bassmaster Classic. He is your current leader in progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year points with just 2 events left to go. Trey McKinney joins me this week on...
I'm Bob Cobb for the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
Welcome one, welcome all, friends, family, freeloaders, fishing freaks, and of course, you, my humpers. Happy hump day to all of you, and welcome into the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast that goes by my last name, which is Mercer. I want to thank you all for joining me once again. This is the 275th edition of the Mercer Podcast, and I hope wherever you're watching or listening from, that life is treating you well. Well, let me tell you about my life and some of the things that have been going on. I mean, not that you asked, but I'll let you know right now. When we last hung out, I let you guys know I was quickly going to finish the Corey Johnston podcast, which so many of you watched, and I appreciate that. And I was going swimming. I was going to one specific spot. It was a rock kind of break wall that's in front of a big, beautiful house. But I was there previously, and there was all sorts of bait fish in front of it. You had bass crashing in on it. But when I was there, initially, it was a storm was kind of rolling in. It was overcast. And the whole time I'm just thinking, I mean, if it was flat, calm, and sunny, this footage would just be incredible. So I was obsessed with going back there, so much so that I told you guys, as soon as we're done this podcast, I am going to said rock point. But some of the things that happen in my world, you can't make up. So I headed there, specifically just to go to this point. Now, the point that this is on, I mean, it's one of those beautiful houses that I've probably been in front of 30 to 50 times in my life. And in all those times, I look at that house, and everybody's seen houses like this, where you're like, there's nobody ever there. I mean, such a beautiful house, but nobody is ever there. Until you rush up somewhere just to get footage in front of said house. I swear to you, you cannot make this stuff up. So I get all the way up there. The conditions are perfect. It's flat, calm. The sun is hitting it from the right angle. And as I approach said point, there is no less than 25 to 30 10 to 12-year-old kids. I mean, in water wings, in float tubes, in pool floaties. I mean, they are just, I don't know what it was, a kids party or something was going on. But I mean, there was kids all over this rock. And I decided, well, I can slide on over there and scare the crap out of them in my wetsuit. But I didn't want to give any of them nightmares, so I didn't do that. And then I also realized that, the footage is probably not, with a bunch of little legs kicking, is not going to be what I had envisioned it being. But I didn't give up. I mean, I gave up for that day, headed back home. But a few days later, I headed back to this area. That's how incredible this was. And you guys see lots of cool underwater shots that I shoot, but you don't see kind of the train wreck that happens getting to some of them. But I went back 2 days later, and there was no kids on the rocks. The conditions were good. And I'll be honest, I experienced something on this day that I've never experienced shooting before. When I swim around shooting underwater footage, I mean, I have a flag, kind of stand out. I mean, I'm safe. And with that comes some people, locals, a lot of times will come up and say, hey, what are you doing? What are you looking for? And I'll explain to them, hey, I'm taking pictures of fish underwater, and most of them are, hey, that's cool. But I experienced something that I wasn't prepared for, and I'm pretty sure I did not react properly to. I'm swimming along this rock point. There's bait fish everywhere. Bass weren't really corralling them like they were that first time, but there was incredible baitfish shots I'm getting. And then out of my peripherals, I notice a large human being just floating right beside me. He's got Speedos on, which, of course, and a little tiny set of goggles, and he's just floating right beside me. And as I said, I'm sure I did not react properly. I mean, maybe I should have said, "Hey, can I help you?" or something like that. I'm sure he was just trying to see what I was doing. But my fight or flight reaction, all it did was flight. I just started swimming the other direction. And when I was looking through the footage, I realized that while I was making that turn, I did get a split second of what I saw. And I thought I would share it with you guys. But there's my buddy just watching me. If somehow that guy sees the podcast, sorry I didn't say hello. I didn't know how to react. I just figured I'd swim away. So yeah, that's what's been going on with me. But lots is getting ready to go on here now. As we record this, we are just a few hours away from kicking off the Bassmaster Elite Series. I think it's been like 60 days since we've had an Elite Series event. It's been a phenomenal break. But these next two events are going to be fun. 29 points separate the top 5 in Angler of the Year. We have a very tight Rookie of the Year race. It's all coming down to this, and it's going to be awesome. So I hope you're tuned in. We got Champlain first. It's a non-forward-facing sonar event. Then a week later, we have the St. Lawrence River to finish things off, and you'll be able to use forward-facing sonar there. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. Trey McKinney is leading right now. Corey Johnson in second. I mean, Drew Cook right behind them. It's going to be a very, very tight Angler of the Year race, and I'm kind of geeking out, I'll be honest. Like I say all the time, I know I do this for a living, but I'm just a fan. So this is what you want at the beginning of the season. You want it to go down to the wire, and it is going to go down to the wire. It's going to be fun. Another thing that's going to be fun is with the Elite Series returning, that means Mercer in the Morning will be back in your life tomorrow morning, kicking off around 6 a.m. Eastern time, I believe. We'll be kicking that off maybe a few minutes before, and you can watch it live right here on YouTube. So make sure to hit the ringy dingy thing so you get a notification when we go live with that. Also on Instagram. And if you haven't seen Mercer in the Morning, I mean, I literally just walk around with a microphone, and we don't know what direction it's going to go, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you're tuned in for that. I look forward to seeing all of you that come to that event. It's going to be a fun week. And as promised, I told you we had Corey last week, who's in second place. I told you we will get Trey McKinney here this week. And boy, do we talk about some stuff. Trey McKinney, his track record, first of all, when you wonder why so many people talk about Trey McKinney, I guess it stood out to me when before we hit record, I did a little bit of quick research. And when you look at Trey McKinney's track record, he has fished 41 Bassmaster events. 41. 19 of those, he's been in the top 10. So almost half the events he fishes, he's in the top 10. 30 of those, he has been in the top 20. I mean, we're talking about a dude who has never, he's never been out of the top 2 in Angler of the Year. He's never been out of the top 2 in the Bassmaster Classic. He's only fished 2 of them, but a pretty strong freaking track record. He has literally only been out of the top 50 in his entire career 5 or 6 times. What he's accomplished seems fake, and that will bring some attention your way, and attention that, he loves. I mean, pressure is a privilege, and he has got the pressure on him once again to see if he can finally seal the deal on an Angler of the Year title, and he's got his work cut out for him. I mean, 29 points separates the top 5, and you got Corey Johnston trying to chase you down, who, is a monster on those northern fisheries. It's going to be a battle. But Trey talks about a lot of things in this conversation. I ask all our guests the same thing. I'm like, just be honest, just be real. And he is very honest. He is very real. I said, is there anything we can't talk about? He said, nope. So I 100% leaned into that and asked him, a lot of things that float around about him. I mean, I get it. Does he buy spots? I mean, that's maybe a little... I mean, I got to get you here somehow, folks. Does he buy spots? You can't buy spots. I mean, that's blatantly against the rules. So, but he does, people will float that narrative around him that he gets information from people, and I've never heard him talk about it, but I gave him the opportunity. I straight up asked him, what information do you get from locals? How does it work? He talks about it, and he doesn't hold back. So I will let you guys watch that point of the show and give me your opinion on an absolute phenomena that Trey McKinney is. I mean, he is a freak show. When you look at his statistics, they look fake. And I really, really enjoyed this conversation. No matter where you are on the Trey McKinney train, I'm going to tell you that train is going to keep on chugging, because everything we've seen from him, forward-facing sonar, non-forward-facing sonar. I mean, going into the season, everyone said, well, they're going to get him now, because half the events you can't use forward-facing sonar. And Trey's leading angler of the year with 2 events left to go. I mean, clearly, he knows how to catch him. But I got to respect him being 21 years old and being willing to answer some of the questions that I ask him on this week's podcast. Says a lot to me. I hope you really enjoy this. I can't wait to kick things off tomorrow morning. Make sure to tune into Mercer in the morning and follow Elite Series action all day long. And hey, if any of you humpers are coming out to the weigh-in Plattsburgh, New York, make sure to say hi, holler at me. I'll try to get to you. It's going to be a fun week. And I got to leave right after this. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's travel to Plattsburgh, New York, and meet up with young Trey McKinney. Trey McKinney, as we record this, you're just a few hours away from starting pre-fish on Lake Champlain, and the next 3 weeks is a big 3 weeks for you.
It is. It is. It really is. Like here in tomorrow morning is when it all starts. It all breaks loose. And honestly, it's been too long of a break, man. I mean, it's been too long. I've been thinking about it I'm ready to go fishing. I'm ready to get it over with, whether it happens good or it happens bad. Because now it's like, heck, we've had a month or even more just to sit here and dwell and try to get ready and try to prepare and all this stuff for these last 2 tournaments. And I've been trying to do my best at it, pre-practice and everything else. But I will say one thing that's weird about this year. It has been the weirdest up north year for me. I feel like, I don't know if the fish are like doing different or behind, maybe because it's such a cold winter or what. But for me, it's definitely been a weird pre-practicing year. Like every year I usually come up, I'll have 3 or 4 days of unbelievable fishing, But this year has just kind of stayed steady Eddie. Just, catching a few every day, but never really figuring something out that's special. So that's why I'm kind of forgetting this pre-practice, honestly, just kind of letting it go back and hoping that these fish have started doing something different, maybe something that I didn't figure out, and just go up, honestly, just with an open mindset and let the fish tell me what's going on.
With everything you have going on and having a 6-week break, what does today feel like for you? Like in your head, are you like a racehorse that's like, finally I get to run? Like when you woke up this morning, what did you feel?
Honestly, I'm a pretty hard sleeper. Like I'm a really hard sleeper. Like I don't wake up for much, and nor do I wake up a lot doing alarm clock. But this morning when that alarm clock went off, it almost scared me. Like I almost took like a deep breath when I woke up, because literally my mind's been racing so fast, because like these last 2 weeks, it's been like, oh, I got all the time in the world. I got all the time in the world. I got all the time in the world. No pressure. and you're just sitting there thinking about what could happen. And all of a sudden you wake up today and it's like, hey, dude, it's tomorrow. Like all this time that you've been preparing and stuff and thinking about what's going to happen. Am I going to do good? Am I going to do bad? Well, all that depends on and starts tomorrow. So, yeah, there's a lot of thoughts going through my head right now. That's a true fact there for sure. But these last two ones are kind of, man, they're definitely different, you know, especially, I mean, we're not going to be needing much of these or nothing out there, you know, this time around, but it's definitely going to be a different approach at Champlain, you know, because I've never had to target largemouth. You know, I've never had to target fish that sit on cover, you know. Now it's coming back and you're going to have to kind of redo the plans for up north because it's not your traditional for me or for how I would fish. So definitely a lot of different ways to do it, but I'm excited. You know, Champlain, these largemouth, they're old, they're smart, and there's not, you know, a whole lot of them. So we're going to see what the pressure does. You know, we've never had a tournament where I feel like this many people is going to target largemouth at Champlain. So it definitely going to mix it up. And I don't know if any angler right now can tell you how it's going to be won on this place because I literally feel like it could be won on largemouth, mixed bag, or smallmouth. So definitely going to be an interesting week to see how it goes.
It's been a pretty cool season that way. The 50-50 deal worked out, I mean, better than I think most people even expected. Not that people didn't expect it to work out, but it's made for some really compelling stories. But with you having these final two events and looking at this one non-forward facing sonar, does that excite you or concern you?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I definitely feel safer if I went out tomorrow and had my old shiner out there just looking around. You know, I think, feel more confident as far as for smallmouth fishing goes. I say I ain't lying to nobody. I definitely feel a lot more confident to have my scope up north just because that's all I've ever done. I usually, when you go up north, you know, it is a scoping adventure usually. So it definitely is a different approach for sure. But you know what? Honestly, to your point, I think it's kind of surprised a lot of anglers now that, you know, they really don't have much to argue about. I mean, it's kind of great. You know, I love it because it kind of shut everybody up. And man, that's honestly what I've been looking for, you know, like the more we can do that, the more we can make just everything just be quiet and just go out and just go fishing, you know. You know, that's been my dream from all along is, you know, go back to the Wild West, you know, let's just go fishing. Like, who cares? You know, that's me. You know, when I'm fishing, that's all I think about is how I get the next bite. Not if we got scope or we got this or all this drama stuff. You know, the rules are the rules and let's go out and go fishing. So, no, it definitely has been. I think it's been a good deal for the sport, but, you know, it definitely a lot of new anglers coming up. You know, I definitely get a lot of questions about scope. And this way, you know, I can have both sides of it. You know, I can still teach all the people coming up that want to know scope. Because 95% of the anglers that are under the age of, I'd say 25, that's usually the questions I get, is about scope. And then anyone over that age is usually about, you know, the non-forward facing. So I get to kind of, you know, talk to both groups. So it's kind of been a good deal.
I found it funny. I read the article you did with Such on Bassmaster.com, and I found it funny. You said it's a bummer not to see the fish. Is that how your generation just looks at it? Like, it's just, I mean, not that you can't do this, but it's just a bummer not to see them because you know you can.
Absolutely. I guess, so I'll just take you through what like my brain says. And that's like, honestly, like now, you know, it's not as much, you know, if somebody doesn't think the way I think, it's not that big a deal. We're all obligated to our own opinions. But you know, that's the thing with scope, right? So like I guess in my fishing career, I started without it. So like when I'm fishing, it was not a big deal. I didn't have nothing else. That's how you won. You know, you just fished. And now when I started qualifying for the elites and in the elites, you know, I realized like, hey, I got to learn this scope deal. I got to dedicate every bit of my time to learn how to do this scoping deal so then I can as well catch or do very well in tournaments. So that's what I've done, you know, these last 3 or 4 years. Is that's all my expertise was learning how to do it better than someone else. And we put all of us, that's all our anglers. That's what we try to do is, you know, master something to where you can bring yourself to the top level. And it does suck a little bit sometimes that we put in that much time and to see everybody want to revert back. So it kind of would say, let's just say we reverted back 0 scope. Well, in my theory, I put so many years in, like for me, yes, I'm young, not so many years. I don't want to say that, offend somebody, but I put in a lot of time and effort into learning that. To see us revert back, that would be a waste of time. So it's good now that we have the 50-50 to where I put all that time and effort in to where I don't see it go to waste. I can still use it in half of the events. So yeah, it does. And when you're thinking of scope, I guess my mind has a lot more places to race. So like without scope, right, there's only so many things I can do. There's, to catch a lot of these fish. The one thing I like about without scope is you notice a lot of the nuances that you never would with scope. So like back in the day, I throw out my jig, I count it down, like all them little things. I'm watching my line a lot more. You're more in tune with what is going on when you don't have scope, for sure. It's kind of all those senses that kind of been buried for a little bit kind of reunite. So it's kind of really cool to see when you're not scoping how you still have those senses. But now that since we had a scope, you don't get to use a lot of them. So it is fun without it. But I will say one thing that with scope is it I have a lot more ideas that I can go do. So it makes it a lot more fun for me sometimes because I can literally catch them in 0 foot of water to 40 foot of water and doing anything, any bait, no matter what, roaming on the bottom, however. So for me, I guess it has a lot more ways to catch them is the only reason I would definitely prefer it for these tournaments.
Yeah, it's weird. It's when you think about it, it's one of the weird things about the human brain. It's like if you give it less, it searches for more. And I've always used the weird thing. And I never thought of this analogy until the way you were explaining it. But I've always looked at videos versus still pictures. If I show you a video of your boat jumping a wave, going out to the Great Lakes, and it's an awesome shot, you'll watch that video 5-10 times and be like, wow, that was awesome. But if I take a still picture of that same boat, you will look at that picture for years and you'll notice different little things and your mind almost, and that's kind of how you're explaining scope in your mind. Like you don't have to guess if your jig's on, you don't have to wonder if your jig's on the bottom because you can tell your jig's on the bottom. You don't have to wonder if there's a fish there because you know if there's a fish there or not.
Yep.
It's wild. It's wild how the human brain works. Like when you give it less, it searches for more and gets more creative. But you have been in this very position twice now. I mean, whether you went into the final 2 events laden, but you've been battling it out for Angler of the Year.
Today's high-tech fishing world can be a real pain in the neck, especially if you're running the wrong mount. Beat Down Outdoors, they bring the graph to you. And they support this podcast and care enough about you to make this a short ad read. Check out Beat Down Outdoors. Now back to the show.
All right, so obviously our location has changed, but technology said you're having fun sitting in your boat, but they don't want you to sit in your boat anymore.
I guess not, because now I can hear you. Now, since I went inside, I put my phone in the freezer just for a second, and now it's good.
So your phone was overheating.
I guess, because it felt real hot, and I was like, oh, okay, I didn't notice that. And I put it in the freezer, and now it's good. So,
well, good. We'll try not to heat up your phone again. Hey, give us a quick little tour of where are you, in your camper?
Yeah.
Can you, I mean.
It's a little messy right now, but yeah, it's good. Let's see here. Let me turn the camera. Actually, hold up. Let me I just cooked me some breakfast, so it's a little disastrous in here. But yeah, this is the whip. Nice. Life on the road. Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's got about everything. It's got washer and dryer in it. I put my dirty clothes hamper in the bed. It's like super comfy. Like honestly, I sleep better in this bed than I do even at my house now. Like it's crazy. And then you go in there to the deal. It's got a walk-in shower to it, like all the way. Like it's pretty nice. Nice. How many days a year do you spend in that? Till about January, probably January to end of August. So a bunch. Yeah, so it's like my house. Like, yeah, it's definitely my house. I live in it for pretty much the whole season, except when I'm duck hunting. Even when I'm duck hunting, if I travel, I still stay in it. So honestly, most of the year.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks put together. It seems way nicer than Tyler Williams' cabin trailer. I mean, maybe Tyler's is a little nicer nowadays, but at one point it did have a particular musk to it, let's just say. You are, you've been in this position before, Trey. Is there anything, I mean, nobody, if I'd have said to you the first day you started the Elites, this is how your career would be at this point, I'm sure you would have been like, where do I sign up? I mean,
Absolutely.
It's been incredible. But is there anything you can take from the previous 2 close seconds in the AOY? Anything you can take into this week?
I mean, the obvious would be not to choke this year, hopefully. But it's definitely it's a blessing to be here. Start off, like whether it goes to the first, the second, the third, like it's still a blessing, to finish this or be in a position with this many good guys. I mean, every single one of them guys can catch bass, like every single one of them. And so it's definitely a blessing to be here. Just talking about even having a chance to win Angler of the Year again. So, man, it's honestly just riding it while I can. It's been an awesome road, but for first off, it's just like this year, I guess I tried changing my mental mindset a little bit, just be more, honestly, positivity goes so far with me. And this, I don't want this to sound cocky or nothing else like this. My biggest enemy is my mind, like, honestly, and that's why I tell everybody, up here is like the most important key to bass fishing, in my opinion. There's so many people out there that have the talent to be right where I'm at, and anything. And a lot of people, it's just sometimes this right here is what stops us. And I think a lot of my boundaries and holdups and everything is all right here with me. I have the talent. It's just sometimes I beat myself up before I even get to the race, and that's one thing I trying to do better on is staying 100% positivity and trying to kind of just work out the problems in your head before, you do make it a problem. And it does help a lot for me. If I'm out of it up here, I'm not going to fish very good at all. But I can tell those days when I get out on that water and it starts feeling right and I'm like, uh-oh, they in trouble. You just get those days. And if I could be in that mindset 24/7, man, it would be good. But it's definitely hard to be sometimes.
So there's been times in the past, even with the success you've had, where you feel you checked out of it. Like, do you start to feel like you're not going to catch them? Like if you're trying to fix it this year, like what did you experience in the past?
I guess one of my biggest days actually that I just checked out. Like I was just over it and I didn't know how to truly get back in the game was actually it'd been 2 years ago. Whenever we fished Champlain the last, that last day I had 14, 15 pounds, really bad day, fell all the way down. That's honestly what cost me Angler of the Year. But what happened that day is I had one area that I knew I could do really well, catch 20 pounds. And that's what it took a day to win was 20 pounds. And the first 2 days, I caught right at it. I caught 20 pounds one day and then almost 20 the next day. And I went there and the waves were just crazy. The way the wind was blowing, the only spot that was blew out in the lake was literally the one area that I wanted to fish. You could fish anywhere else. And I would run back from that area, go fish somewhere that's calm, fish, not catch nothing. And then I'd run back to that area that made 6-7 footers. I mean, I would take one over the front, take one over the back, take one over the front. It was just horrible. And I still, that's the only place I could catch one. And I just kept confusing myself, running back and forth. And if I would have just stuck with something, I could have changed everything that year. Because in my head, I was so, even JT, when I got back to the boat ramp, he's like, what happened? You just look frustrated. I was like, dude, I don't even want to talk about it. Today's over. But certain days like that, now looking back at that, literally 2 fish, 2 4-pounders. And that would have moved me up so many spots. And then, I would have had a great chance at Angler of the Year because I finished third at St. Lawrence the next tournament. So definitely times like that, you got to get in it, got to get in your mind a little bit and know it. I've even thought about doing it. A whiteboard is honestly simplest things can change. How you look at stuff is honestly I want to do it. I do a little bit on my phone. It's just literally on notes. is literally every time you think of a good quote, like a good positive, like just make you feel good. You know, like you have some of those movies that's drama, but then you have some movies it's just a feel good movie, you know, when you watch it. And every quote that I find or I do or something, I just write it down so I remember it. And every once in a while, you just go through and just read them all, you know, and it could be random stuff. And no, it's a really good deal for that. And just thinking of like anything to keep you in the grind is definitely important to me. And like I said, my biggest enemy is definitely my mind.
So can you give me a quote or two that has rung strong with you this year?
Absolutely. Like, and it's like, when I'm talking, like, it's, some people are going to think it's funny just because of how simple it is. It's like literally never give up till it's over. Like just little stuff like that. Like literally just, like the littlest quotes ever that mean like not much, but just a good quote to get you back in it. That's one that, I mean, it's definitely, there's another one, but it's definitely, it's what my grandpa used to say, but we'll probably won't say that on here, but it's definitely like, just like little stuff like that is like, just never quit. Or just like literally I'll just write down stuff like that. And every once in a while, man, it helps and boosts so much to be like, you just take a second, think of them, say 3 or 4 of them in your head, close your eyes, start the motor and let rip and just let it go. And then you forget all what happened that morning and, you know, like forget maybe a bad move. That's definitely a really big one to me. I'll be hyped up in the nighttime thinking about tomorrow. And I got this game plan, got this nice game plan. And I'll get going into it, you know, doing real well, and all of a sudden something won't work out. And sometimes that puts a little wrench in the little, like sometimes I'll have a spot where, like it's really important on the no-scope tournaments is I'll have a spot where I can go and catch 15 or 18 pounds right off the get-go. And then I go like, okay, I don't have to worry about nothing. You know, I can just go and catch 2 or 3 more fish the rest of the day, and I'm golden, you know, catch 2 or 3 big ones, just go after some big ones. But when that doesn't happen, and then you got to refigure everything on how to catch a limit, how to catch size. And then that's when the stress really kicks in. Because you're like, me, I've always been thinking about points, you know, like, okay, how do I turn my worst day into not so bad?
Yeah.
Like quite literally, that's what the points race is every day you're having one of those days that you know you can't quite turn around. You got to figure out how to make it the best that you possibly can. Whether, you know, instead of losing, like Santee, instead of losing 90 points, you know, if I could have just stuck in there and caught 3, like I had 4 fish each day. So let's just say if I would have caught 2 more fish and filled my limit with a 3-pounder, that'd have been 6 pounds. That would have saved me like 15, 20, 30 spots, you know? So just thinking of little stuff like that, what difference it can make at the end of the year is why you always got to be locked in. Like, you know, every once in a while you'll let off that gas like that every once in a while. And that one day that you do come in with 4 fish or something, and, you know, it has a big term factor on the rest of your year.
Are you really not going to tell me Grandpa's quote?
Well, I mean, it's simple, but I guess some people might think it's not over till the fat lady sings.
Oh, that's fine.
That's fine. But yeah, it's
not
just like
offensive with our crowd.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I thought too. But yeah, just something like that is like just a lot of little, just like inspirational quotes, not inspirational, but just go getting quotes, you know, just something to kind of turn your mindset around.
It's, I mean, in life in general, it's all perspective. You know what I mean? Like you can be like, man, I got to get up in the middle of the night and do this and whatever. But it's like, you don't have to, you get to. And when you think about things in that perspective, it changes the way you look at things.
Absolutely.
Is there anything this next couple of weeks? There'll be a lot of hype, a lot of media, and it's not just you and Corey. I mean, the top 5 are within 29 points, so it's a tight competition. But is there anything you can take into these last 2 events from your experience of dealing with all that hype and media, or does that not even factor when you're fishing?
The media really doesn't factor anymore. It used to, you know, like sometimes I would get really set in a mindset and then I'm like, oh, hey, wait a minute, I gotta go over here and do this for this guy, this and this and this and this and everything. But now, honestly, like that's part of our job, like 100%. Like that is, you know, that's kind of part of it. That, you know, you have to learn how to deal with, you have to learn how to kind of multitask a little bit in certain areas. And, you know, and it's not like, it's not like I'm taking time out just for that person, no matter, you don't know who's going to see those videos. You don't know what little kid is going to see that video and, understand at that moment, that's what he wants to do. I like from then on, it could be the littlest thing one of us anglers say in a little bitty video to us that we think, oh, whatever, it's just a little video, not think of it much, but you never know who could possibly see that video. And that could inspire, one of the next anglers or, a little guy that's coming up and gives him the courage to go do it. So, every video we go into, it's even if you are in a bad mood or something like that, you can't ever, let that take control sometimes because you don't know who's looking at that video.
So when you say you battle, in your mind, is the thought of not catching them, does that ever register in your mind, or does it just sort of happen? I mean, it doesn't happen a lot with you, but does it just like till the last second, do you feel like it's going to happen?
Well, it's not only that. I don't think about if I'm not going to catch them. I think about how I'm going to catch them. Maybe, I know there's fish in this river or wherever we're at that's going to bite my cricket if I put it in front of them. There's fish out there that's going to bite no matter what. It's just Mother Nature. Like if you find the right ones, they're going to bite. So, no matter how bad it is, or, that's why I was saying, it's not over till it's over, because literally, you could pull up at the right spot and it change your whole outcome. And that's when I think when I'm not catching them, I'm like, all right, I'm not catching them right now, but how am I going to catch them? Like, let's just go. Like, we got to do something different. We got to change up, switch up. But let's go catch them. I don't really think about, oh, my goodness, I'm not going to catch them. I don't let that start wearing me till I'm in the bag line with 3 fish or whatever else like that, because, there's nothing that thought does not help you at all when it's the 8 hours of tournament time, So I definitely try not to think anything like that till it's over.
You're starting tomorrow morning pre-practice. Do you know where you're starting tomorrow? Do you have it all mapped out in your head, or is it a wake up and where we go, we go?
It's going to be a wake up and just go, because the pre-practice was honestly really tough here. And it's got beat up. There's been a lot of tournaments here in the last little bit. It's been taking good weights just by looking at how much weight it took to win and stuff like that. So it's definitely going to be interesting on what this tournament's going to take. But, I think I'm just going to let the wind just let it go, just whatever I think I feel good and go fishing. Because it's definitely, you got to practice for largemouth too this time and smallmouth. So I'm just kind of going to knock them off the list as I go down, just run down. If a point looks good, pull in and see. Because I think these fish are going to be completely different than what they were in pre-practice. Like, I don't even think it'll be close to the same.
Do you think this is an event that'll be a mixed bag, or up till this point, that's the first time I've heard you mention smallmouth. It's almost been all largemouth you've talked about, but do you have to go both ways in this event?
I think if I want to be safe, if I want to be like have a little bit of back cushion, I think you got to, because there is just so many smallmouth in this place. And that's like I was thinking, going back to, never till it's over. Like that's one thing. If I fish for largemouth all day and I get 2 or 3 or 4 or 4 pounders and I need to catch me another 2 or 3 or 4 pounders, something like that, then that's when I might roll out to a smallmouth spot and try to fill up my limit real quick, or run and have a little spot I can catch a few. So I think the smallmouth will definitely play. I feel like a lot of guys, you might see them do 1 or 2 days in a row of really big largemouth or something. And, those fish run out and then they just go to consistent catching smallmouth. Maybe not as big of bags, but since they've already carried some heavy weight, they can, just catch smallmouth. So I definitely think smallmouth would be your safest option, just of the abundance of them here.
Well, it's another year and another Johnston. When I say the last name Johnston, what goes through your mind?
Man, now don't get me wrong, it's tough, man. I mean, every year we've been battling out, whether it's, it's Corey now, and usually it was Chris. And honestly, every year that goes by and we just keep battling out, my respect grows for him. Honestly, we've never really had any big arguments, something like that. I respect them, and I feel like, now that they respect me well. And it's been great. I'm glad to have them as the competition, to be honest.
I'm sure you wish they'd just go away, though. I mean,
well, that definitely would be the easiest deal for sure. But heck, I don't want something I don't earn. So, and they're definitely making it hard. They have for the last 3 years now.
You said the word respect. Do you feel that you're in a lot of ways, from an angler standpoint, getting more respect today than maybe you had the first year or two?
Absolutely. I honestly, I would never, when I come on the first year, don't get me wrong, it was tough. I feel like everybody was out to get me. I think they were out to get me. But no, I mean, now, it's been really good. I can walk through a crowd of guys and, it's pretty mutual respect. There's definitely a few guys, that's still out there that maybe not, but that's just life. But no, it's been really well. This year has been great. Maybe had a few little mishaps with somebody, a few misunderstandings, but that's just going to happen. But no, it's been a good year, man. Honestly, getting to see the true colors of everybody, understand them, getting to meet, people without, that behind us, is really good.
Yeah. I mean, from the outside, it feels like people are starting to realize, and I think the 50-50 thing probably helped you in that standpoint. And how different do you think you are today as an angler, as a person, than you were year one?
And it's kind of crazy. I think I fished a lot different year one too, because I didn't have no history. Yeah. And now I'm starting to build history on a lot of these lakes, and it messes with you. I wish I could just have no history on them, to be honest. I wish every day I could wake up and just go fish it like I would every other lake, never be there, never nothing. So when people say people I saw in one of Johnson's posts is I've seen he's been putting in his work and stuff, and he's been up there and stuff. That don't always help you. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing. I wouldn't do it if it was a bad thing, but it definitely sometimes hurts you, because now I got so many ideas running through my mind, and early on in my career, first year, it was pure silence. I didn't think of nothing. I was just thinking of where would I think a bass would live. That's all I was thinking. I wasn't thinking about all these spots that I found now and all this stuff. So it has its, positives and negatives, but no, I'm excited for sure.
Avco not only makes incredible outdoor clothing, but they care about anglers with their 10% pledge. Avco and the Shed family donate at least 10% of the company's profits to conservation and making fishing better. Now back to the show.
That is a topic I hear a lot about around you. I mean, I feel like, just to call a spade, the naysayers have gone from Trey McKinney is what he is because of forward-facing sonar to Trey McKinney is what he is because he pre-practices more than anybody else.
Yep.
But even if that is true, my answer to that has been so when has hard work ever been, a negative? That is... But why do you think Trey McKinney is who he is?
I don't know. I think it's just I love figuring out the little nuances. Mother Nature's always been something, whether it's hunting or whether it's, fishing, however else, it's very similar. And that's all I've grown up in. And as I was a kid or anything, that's what I've done is, all my dad's friends, all my, even my mom's friends, everybody was outdoorsmen. Whether it was on the water or off the water, hunting or whatever. And it's crazy. After a little while, you figure out you understand the days that it's not the same what to do to change your outcome. Whether it's changing the spread, whether it's a different wind, maybe it's a different, this current's coming in a lot faster. I think a lot to do is changing on the fly and, letting that old history go, or letting your practice knowledge go. And just going fishing, realizing early on that the days changed. They're not going to be on a lot of these spots that I have found them. Understanding that's all right. And now we just got to go find more spots, because it is hard. You have a good practice, man. That's all I want to fish. I want to fish the good spots. But a lot of times it's not the case. You find them there on a cloudy day and you show up on a sunny day and they're not there. Or very pelagic fish, like even here on Champlain. These fish move miles and they don't even look back. They just keep swimming. And so that's the thing. It is hard you can't get too zoned in for sure. And I think that's one thing that's helped me is just being in the outdoors, understanding, okay, this is over. Now we got to find out the next deal. Okay, everything's changed. It's a complete new game. Now we got to go figure it out.
Can you take me through your pre-practice approach? Like, how much time are you spending on bodies of water, and what do you do? Like, how do you break it down?
Well, there's a lot of guys. So there's like 2 or 3 different ways to do it. So you have your pre-practice guys that literally they just idle. Like they don't want to get too many preconceived ideas. They don't want to understand a whole lot. They just go and idle, for cover, for grass stretches, understanding where all the best cover is that fish should sit, which is a great way. Honestly, great way. There's a way that, you can kind of go fishing, just go fishing and try to find them on that stuff that you think they're going to be on in August or something. But how I like to do it is, and it's kind of different, but it's literally just go out, catch it, figure out the fish as good as possible in that time. So it just gives me the confidence and kind of understanding what these fish are thinking and doing. And I know they're not going to be on the same stuff at all. I know they're not going to be on, these same areas, which sometimes if you do find them in certain sections of the year, they'll still be there and you can still go back and catch some of them. But a lot of times I just like understanding how fisheries work. So I'll just show up and I'm just going to figure out and see how I can catch the biggest bag right now, and understanding where these populations of fish live. And I just go fun fishing, man. I just go out, try to figure them out, try to catch the biggest fish I can. And then when I come back, I realize I look at all these spots I caught them at and look where this down this bank right here is a high population of fish. 4 spots down it, I smoked them. And then I'm like, all right, where will these fish go? And then I just start going on the perimeters and everything else like that till I find them again, usually.
Do you have areas mapped out before you get to a body of water? Like how much before the pre-practice, before you even show up at the body of water, do you spend much time on maps, on doing research?
Oh, stuff like that a little bit. I'll be honest, I'm not the most thorough on that stuff because I like just going and figuring it out on my own. Like if I go and watch all these videos, and don't get me wrong, it's great to watch the videos. You got to have some kind of idea when you get there so you're not just absolutely lost. So I watch some videos and understand like, okay, these fish roam, these fish like grass, like this stuff, like kind of understand what they sit on from videos of people on YouTube and just, doing your overall research. But I like just going, because most of the time, I guess I always thought about it, and it's very true in hunting and fishing. By the time you heard about it, usually it's about over. And that's usually about how everything is, whether it's a hunt. Usually if you hear about a good duck hunting spot, you go, there's already a ton of people there. It's blown out, even with fishing, even like a pattern or something. So I try to find that next new thing maybe not everybody's talking about, or something that's different, something that I know, something that's kind of just doing it my own way sometimes helps for me.
Something that is very different this year is the 28-day no info rule. So in essence, you can get info up to 28 days before the event. Yep. We've had situations where, like, I think it was a 10 Tom where Jordan Lee said, hey, the reason I made the top 10 here is because I went out with a college buddy of mine that, grew up here, and we rode the body of water, and I learned it from them. Do you spend any time doing stuff like that?
Absolutely. So I had a few buddies that took me out, but a lot of times what I got to learn on information is it's really hard to catch somebody else's fish, like really hard. Now don't get me wrong, like Jordan Lee, it worked out, like maybe, the only time information works out for me, let's just say in Jordan Lee's aspect, is maybe his guy told him like, hey, not a spot, not telling him what bait to throw, not telling him all this stuff that gets in your way. Just telling him, hey, see this backwater right here? That's a good backwater. Like there's a good population of fish. You just go and figure them out. Like that's just a good area of the lake that you should start at. Stuff like that would help way more than like, hey, this tree, this bait, this time, all that stuff. I don't even like that. I kind of try to block out because a lot of that stuff, it would never, ever help you or work out. Now, sometimes it does. But if I ever did or got information, I would just tell somebody, like, even if we maybe once went out on the boat or something, usually I just say, hey, on a map, what's the high population of fish? Like what in this body of water you feel like has the most fish or something? And then I'll just go figure it out on my own. Like I don't want to know everything. I don't want to know about that. Just a high population of fish on this lake. And then I'll go and just kind of dive into it. I got 4 or 5 days and I'll just go and try to figure it out.
Does it bother you that the naysayers say the opposite? Like,
Not really.
If I didn't spend time with you and didn't ask you that question, I hear, Trey has a Rolodex, not even that you know what a Rolodex is, but it's where people used to keep phone numbers. But he's got a portfolio full of people, the best guys on every lake, and they're helping him.
No, I don't. I just never, it's never really worked for me ever. Like even like back in high school, whatever, like you could have people help you there and stuff. And, me and Rick, maybe a couple people would help us or something. And then come to find out, we catch them at the complete opposite end of the lake doing complete opposite stuff. And we do good in that tournament. And a lot of days, like if we had 4 days of practice, somebody does something, it'd waste, a whole day of practice sometimes. Because that's what you're going. You have a preconceived idea and it wouldn't work. Like, okay, let's just go figure out something now that we understand. So a lot of people, it doesn't really bother me because they don't really know. They're just going off what everybody else says and that's what they believe, which I don't doubt those people. Like, I mean, sometimes rumors are rumors. Sometimes you believe them, sometimes you don't. And so they don't know, but it's definitely hard to catch people's fish. And that's why I have no really interest in getting that type of information. The only type of information I like is like, if you do like, hey, this just whole entire bay right here, like there are big ones that live in that area right there. I'm like, okay. And I'll just go and find my own stuff, and I seem to catch them if I do get information a lot better that way than ever spots or something like that.
Do those people motivate you at all? I would just think it's natural for that stuff. I mean, I've always said the people like in comments even here, if you go through all the people like, love this podcast, then there's one dude that's like, this podcast sucks. That dude almost motivates you more than all the good. It's just human. I mean, I'm just being honest, but it's human nature, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It definitely motivates you. But the thing is, the more, no matter how you look at it, the more you do good, the more people that's going to look at you and try to understand why is he doing so good and not this guy. Like, there's some reason he's doing something fishy. Like, he's got to be doing something fishy or doing that good. So, no matter how you look at it, the better you do, you're going to have people trying to come after you and looking at you and trying to understand stuff. And then when they can understand it, that's when they start going, oh, he's got to be getting a ton of information. He's got to be getting a bunch of waypoints. He's got to be doing this and stuff like that. So, no, it definitely does motivate me, though. Like, let's just go out, catch them, however I want, just go catch them. And that's all I worry about, man, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. We're all going out there to catch our fives. So it's I love the sport. That's why it's so fun. It changes so quickly. And, there's so much background noise. It's kind of fun, just to take that and roll it right into fishing and get you motivated.
Well, and you've definitely given them reason to search because if I look at your record, and I actually did a little research in this before going in this, but you fished 41 Bassmaster events. You have 19 top 10s. 30 of those were top 20s. You have 2 seconds in AOY, 2 seconds in the Bassmaster Classic. You've literally only been out of the top 50 5 or 6 times. And that goes back to like high school events, some of those. But the anomaly about you is with accomplishing all of that. First of all, when you hear that, what goes through your mind? Like, are you all of a sudden like, I can breathe fire? Are you like, do you even stop to think of those numbers?
No, I really didn't. Like that's really cool. I never thought about that. But no, man, it's just, there's really no other word to say that. We've just been really blessed. We've worked hard. We have, man. Me and Rick, even when we started this thing, we have worked hard. And that's the thing, man. It's been a blessed road to go down.
But the anomaly about you that stands out is because when I look at everything you're accomplishing and I look at other people that are young and accomplishing amazing things, and you go back to one perspective and it's like, well, college fishing, university fishing, collegiate fishing. Why did you choose not to go that route?
Well, to be honest, I was telling everybody, and they didn't. They said they didn't give out real money. I was like, well, I don't want to go do that. I was like, heck no, because when I was 16, I started jumping in BFLs, and because that was the first year they'd legally let me fish it, and we done really well the first year. We ended up winning Angler of the Year the first year and the second year in the BFLs. And that kind of opened my eyes. I got a little spending money. I got to put some stuff on my truck that I wouldn't get to and, making it fast. And, it was just a good feeling to have a little bit of spending money. And when I heard that, I was like, well, you don't get any money in college. And honestly, I thought it would be a lot of distractions, in college. And I was like, you know what? I was like, it might be best for us just to roll on into it, see if we make it early. I don't have the responsibilities. If I don't make it, I can try again. But if I do, son, I'll have, an open mind. And thank goodness we did, because it's been an awesome road.
Were you a good student in school?
No, I was not. I did not pay attention very good at all. My mind was thinking about ducks and fish. Actually, That's why I had to be homeschooled, because I'd missed too many days. Because in public school, they finally told me, like, hey, you can't miss any more days, or you're gonna be whatever in trouble. So I was like, okay, and then that's when we homeschooled. So.
Well, speaking of distractions, one of the things that was kind of joked about you was like, maybe the only thing that can slow down young Trey McKinney is if he gets a lady in his life. But you do have a lady in your life, and it doesn't seem to have slowed you down.
I did. She's great, man. It's been really good. We've been together for a year and a half now, and her name's Brianna, and it's been really good. We've been happy, and honestly, that's what everybody, all the people I love, like talking with older people. They've been through this. Like, even though I think I'm invincible and all this stuff, like, I really don't know. Like, truly, I don't know. Like, these people have been through it. And one of my favorite deals is like, because I had one older man tell me, he's like, here's the thing about women. He said, if you find the right one, he said, you'll be better. And he said, if you find the wrong one, he said, it'll go complete opposite. And he said, that's why some people always say you're better off single. But he said, sometimes it's just because those people have never found the right one. And that kind of went to heart, and it really is. If you find the right one, man, it's kind of great, because you're not fighting alone, you're fighting together. And that's one thing we figured out, man. It's been fun. She's been great. Whether she goes hunting with me, she's froze her butt off a few times going out there. But it's been awesome. It's been really fun.
It is 100% the truth, though. Like, I will say, I tell people all the time, I'm like, it's the most important decision you make in your life. Like, more important than your job, more important than anything. Because if you're with the wrong partner, if you're with the right partner, it just makes you more powerful, and both of you, you know what I mean? Like, it trust me, without Sarah, I'd still fish, but my life would be totally different. This podcast probably would have lasted 3 episodes, just this alone. So, it's good to see. It's, so what do you think is misunderstood about you?
I don't know. I think a lot of people think I don't know. Maybe I really, that's a hard one, because I don't really look in from, I guess I don't take a lot of deal, because a lot of people look into a lot of things completely different than I would. And it's sometimes I try to put myself in their shoes and whatever. But honestly, when it comes down to it, I am just an outdoorsman to the max. I'm just somebody that likes to, just like everybody else, I like to have fun. I like to, be around great people. I like to be around my family and friends, and, and I wouldn't hunt if I couldn't do it with all my buddies. Like, literally, that's part of the reason we hunt is, all the camaraderie, the jokes, the memories you make. And I don't know, really. I think some people maybe look past that. Like, I'm not out to get anyone. I love winning, and don't we all? We all love winning. And, I definitely try to do that. But at the same time, I'm there for everybody. I'm there to have a good time and honestly just doing what I love. And that's why some people think maybe I'm a bad guy or try to cheat, nothing like that. No, I don't have any interest in any of that. Because in my mind, if I don't do it the right way, I didn't earn nothing. I'm just like, I feel like everybody else, in the fishing industry, a lot of us are outdoorsmen, which is kind of crazy because we don't see eye to eye ever, it seems like, in the fishing industry. But you think it'd be opposite because we're all just outdoorsmen. We all like to hunt and fish, and you think that would all make us look off the case.
Do you think you love winning more or hate losing more?
I hate losing, I don't like losing. It's definitely like, I love winning, but losing definitely puts something in my heart that it's like, that's why I guess I try to be so consistent. Here's one thing that definitely I feel like that's one thing I struggle with at some point in time is sometimes you get caught up fishing for everybody else, and it's very easy to do because I'm telling from experience, you always have those people like, oh man, you're going to win the next one. oh man, you're going to do this. Oh man, you're going to do this. Oh, great job. You're going to do this. I expect 25 pounds of the next one, all this stuff. And that's sometimes when you're alone, that starts running through your head. Be like, oh man, I got to catch them. Everybody's depending on me. Everybody's wanting me to catch them. Everybody, I'm on their fantasy team. Like I can't let them down. And that's honestly like, you can't ever think about that either. It's just, you got to go out and enjoy the sport that you've been blessed enough to have the talent to fish. And once you start looking past that and just have peace with yourself, it's definitely amazing.
One of my favorite moments this year with you was one of your least favorite events.
Probably.
And that was the 90th place finish at Santee. But we had you in the media trailer and we, started talking about, the boat trouble that you had with your prop, or we spun your hub or whatever it was that happened that week. And you told me, and I tell people this story, but you told me that's the best thing that happened to me this week. Tell me about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, like that week, it was so like, that was a crazy week. I was out of it, like it was back-to-backers and I was tired and everything else like that. And we went out fishing and practice and stuff. And I tried everything else, but honestly, like when it started that week, and I know why it happened. I know why I spun my prop. And because I was running across this grass flat. And I was like, you know what? We're cutting the time down today. I'm just going to raise it up, mash it down. We're going to get across this flat and shut back in that hole where what it does, if you trim it up too high, it warms up your prop. But I run back here, overheated, shut down, fish. Like, I mean, I was losing my mind. I was fishing crazy fast. And hop back up on pad, and I run out back high again. And I get chopping along, and I get about 71, 72, 73, and all of a sudden, bam, it just like explodes. And I called Joe, and he comes in, and he's like, hey, man, where you at? And I was like, whatever. And he called me, been there. And honestly, like, thankful to those guys, like, absolutely, because when I showed up there, he was ready. He got his deal. They had me in the water, out of the water, and I was back fishing. But, honestly, like, when I think about it, that had no reasoning of me not catching them or whatever. It was just I think going back to one of those weeks where I was just kind of out of it there. But that week was definitely a confusing one for me. I did not understand how dominant the old quickie ball was. And I did not throw it because I was kind of thought that I didn't even really think about it because I just found out about it really. Now, I didn't think you'd throw it shallow. I thought it was like a scoping deal. And obviously it was not. But no, it was a good week. But, man, that was definitely a crazy adventure.
Well, and like you said, the best thing happened was that because everyone's going to blame that rough finish on that. And
yeah, exactly. That's what I said. Yeah. Now I remember. Yeah. No, I was getting ready to say like, hey, it makes it look better for me. It makes it look like I didn't catch him because I broke down. I was like, no, it definitely didn't. I wasn't on much or whatever, but it made the fall a little softer.
Yeah. One of the things that I don't think people take into account about you is how you try to right the wrongs. You stayed at Santee that week after, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do during that week?
Yeah, I was frustrated. I was fed up. I was like, all right, I just got my butt handed to me by the whole entire field, like handed to me. And so after that, I was like, I'm going to figure this out because I found these docks. And in practice, I was flipping a jig on them. And I mean, it was just thump, swim off. I was like, ooh, it was big ones too. And I swung on one, caught a 7-pounder. And I felt like I was on them, but I could not get anybody in the tournament. So I went after, and I tied on one of them corky balls. And that time, we just got the abstracts. And I tried to tie it on the abstract. And I went to skipping underneath them docks. And about the third dock I come to, I skip that thing underneath there, and I snap it one time, and I mean, my line about jerked the rod out of my hand. I set the hook, 6-pounder, and I went down through there, and a couple days in a row, I caught like 25 pounds blind, just fishing trees, fishing docks, and it was just a bait deal. Like, I was fishing the right spots, I just didn't have the right bait.
I've run a Yamaha outboard for over 30 years. It has got me home safe each and every time. If you enjoy this podcast, remember, Yamaha supports it and they care enough about you to make this ad read very short. Now back to the show.
And what blows me away is Paul Nick saying in pre-fish, and it was unfortunately I found out about it and its private conversation became public, but it amazed me that Paul Nick said a cast without an urchin bait in this event is a wasted cat. Like for him to know going into that event that it was going to be that dominant, it just amazes me because I mean, in my head, I would say, hey, I know how I'm catching them. I wouldn't be as bold to say that like this bait is going to dominate every angle. And it did. I mean, those words were true.
It did. I've never seen that, ever seen that in a tournament. I fished for a while. And literally, like, if you weren't throwing it, you got your butt whooped. Like, I mean, there were some guys throwing other stuff that done good, but I'm telling you what, it just made that big of a difference that week. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, I just threw it down the docks. I just threw it down them. Like, I wasn't even trying. I was just fun fishing, trying to figure out how to catch them on it. And I just stroked them. Like, I mean, it was like there was no fish in the lake to the fish were everywhere just by changing the bait. Like, it was nuts.
Why do you think that happened?
I don't know. I think it was because they were such in that post-spawn funk. Because, like, literally there were still some fish on bed. Like, we've seen Justin Hamner catch a few on bed and stuff. So I think that's what it was. It was just those fish were real in a funk and pressured because there was only so many docks in that place. Like, there wasn't a ton of them. And so a lot of it got fished over and over. And something about that they haven't seen before, it just triggered them, man. Like, they would just annihilate it. I mean, it was the most unbelievable bite I ever seen once I started doing it. Like, your line would just think. It would hop off the water when they would hit it. It was crazy.
And I know we've had a big break, but it's won every event since. Like, you know, Jason Christie wins the next event on it. Does it win Champlain?
No. Well, I don't want to say that because I know that thing's so powerful. It's going to come back and bite me. There definitely will be fish caught on it, but these northern fish are a little different. They like big profiles, but not as much. I think you might see somebody catch them on a littler one, maybe like just the average size, like a 17 or something like that. But no, I mean, overall, I think we're going to be fishing a lot probably more offshore, or some offshore. So it's going to be a little bit harder to throw it, but up shallow, oh yeah, they'll bite it.
You look so polished to us when we watch you compete. I mean, you're clearly doing what you are meant to do. When do you feel the most uncomfortable in life? Like, are you just good at everything, or when do you not feel like the Trey we know?
When I'm in when I'm in big crowds of people that are not my people, I get really weird. I'm like, bring me back to the woods or something. I feel like that definitely, like, it's not even like if I'm around fishing people, I'm good because there's always something to talk about, right? Like, you can always talk about something about fishing or hunting, but when I'm just out in like big crowds, it's not like this. I get kind of shut down and stuff. But other than that, man, I love it. If there's somebody that talks hunting and fishing with me, I'm as comfortable as can be.
You've dreamt of this career since you were a little kid. Literally. I mean, you put your eyes on something and you're achieving it in front of our eyes. How does it compare to what you dreamed about?
You know, like there's a lot of things. Like when I dreamed about it forever, I really didn't know what it meant and what it felt like, you know, to be here. And once I understood, you know, I was older, probably 16, 17, to become a professional angler and understand how many doors and how many people you can inspire, you know, to be the next, you know, Kevin Van Dam or something like that. I mean, it really is. It's a special thing. And to see all the people's faces light up when you hold a big one on stage or, you know, catch a big one or something, man, it's another feeling. And to get people that, you know, love it as much as we do and see the excitement on their faces and everything, like that's what makes this sport so special, is being able to share it with other people like that.
Where do you think you are in 10 years?
Hopefully still fishing, man. I hope so. I mean, that's the goal, because I didn't really think about anything else. I don't got much. I mean, I couldn't even work at McDonald's. I don't even have one of them diplomas or whatever else. Like, I'm fishing. Like, that's all I had in mind. I didn't have a second plan, a plan B, a plan C. Like, fishing is it. So hopefully, man, I can just keep in it and, you know, make a good living and, you know, stay in it for a long time.
Do you believe you're going to win Angler of the Year in 3 weeks' time?
You know, I believe there's good, a chance. You know, everybody has, I mean, what better chance you got than, having a little bit of a lead, You just got to look at that. I'm not going to say I am going to win it because that would probably go quite the opposite. But, a lot of times you just got to look at the odds and, everybody, I'm ahead and, it definitely gives me the best chance to win because I have the most amount of points. But, it is what it is. And if not, one of these years we're going to get it. I will say that one of these years, no matter what, I'm going to keep working hard till one day we can bring it home.
Do you believe you're the favorite going into this? Or if you had to pick one of those guys in the top 5, who you think the favorite is?
I guess it just depends. If it's across the border, I know I'm not the favorite, but if it's the other side of the border, we'll see.
Well, I don't know if you listened to last week's podcast, but on this side of the border, he might not be the favorite because they're trying to ban him from Canadian tournaments. So,
are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
I saw your deal. Hey, what was that deal about everybody saying you were making the clickbait? That was so funny.
Oh,
look at you. Yeah.
I literally, first of all, they make the rules. I mean, I don't make the rules. I'll gladly title things just with the angler's name, but they make the rules. But I mean, we literally talked about him being banned, and I put that in the title, and somebody's like, well, this is clickbait, because they assumed maybe that we're talking about bass, but it is in Canadian tournaments. They're talking about banning that. I mean, they fished 9 tournaments and they've won 7 of them, and they were second or third in the other 2. So, that's a weird thing about tournament fishing in general. I mean, I think people want you to do good, but only so good. Like if even Kevin Van Dam, one of the most beloved anglers ever, he got to the point where he won as much as he did that people were cheering that he didn't win. As weird as that is, it's just, and with you, it's just rare because if I go through your stats, dude, you've only been here not even 3 full seasons. And I mean, if I did in a career what you've done in 3 seasons, I'd be like, I got 19 top 10s. I feel good about my time at Bass. So is that pressure weird for you to deal with? Like, because the more you catch them, the more pressure comes with always catching them.
It does. And that's why I was saying, like fishing for everybody else, because it does happen. Like the pressure gets there, man, because, you got so many people who's like, oh, buddy, don't worry about it. You got it. I'm like, do I have it? Like, I don't know if I got it. And so it's definitely a hard deal. It definitely adds a lot of extra pressure. But I try not to think about that. Like, honestly, like I was just thinking about all them past years, all the little mistakes I've made that would have got Angler of the Year for me. Or like Smith Lake, that was definitely my biggest spoof. Like that one hurt like really bad. It still hurts to this day. Cause that one, I mean, I would have been way ahead going into the last ones. And it would have been awesome. But it definitely thinks about that. Like, this is the time. I'm ahead right now. I got the champs. Let's just roll with it.
Because you've had those things happen in the past, has it changed the way? I mean, you clearly have what it takes mechanically to compete on tour. And there's just been a few weird little things that have happened that have taken Angler of the Year from you. Does that make you look at things differently? Do you read things a little more intently? Like, do you how do you as a competitor, I joked with you I'm like, read, just spend a lot of time reading rules and stuff like that. Has it changed things for you?
It definitely makes me more aware. I'll tell you that. I'm definitely a lot more aware now. As far as what's going on, and especially bridges. I would say on a bridge thing, I don't care if we can run every bridge, but if it's a low one, I'm idling it just in case, because I don't know. If it's lower than what I feel like a really tall one, I'm idling it. Like it is what it is. I'm idling it for sure from now on. But it definitely does make you think different a little bit. Just a little bit more cautious. But other than that, I think over the years it's just been. I was young, I made some mistakes, and now, I don't have that excuse no more. I'm 21 now. Like it's time to, grow up, understand. And that's the thing. Like, I've had those mistakes. Now we've grown a little bit and hopefully we don't have them, That's just kind of how I look at it is we all have mistakes, just depends on what it is. And now it's time we've learned and go on now.
Hey, big picture, dude, you're 21 years old. And as a father, I hope that my kids, it's a blessing to make the mistakes. Like you're like this 21-year-old, he once ran under a bridge. It was like, if you compare it to real life, I mean, you could be doing a lot worse.
Yes, sir, I do. But I agree with you on that. There's a lot worse things that can happen, especially like, hey, I'm healthy. I'm not hurt. Like that's the main thing. We take for granted is one thing is definitely our health. So I'm blessed to wake up and not feel too sore anywhere on my body. So we're ready to go.
All right. So what are we going to call this? What, I mean, we need a clickbait title. Like what?
We got to have a clickbait because I was flipping through those comments. I was watching you be like, no, it wasn't. All this stuff on and they were arguing. I love it. What's something we could give them that they fire them up? I don't even know.
Well, think of something.
Yeah,
young, dumb, and don't care about no one.
Oh, that would be a good one. People would light up on that one.
Yeah, no, dude, it's going to be amazing as a fan of the sport. I know I work for Bass, but as a fan, I'm so jacked that we're finally here. Like we are at the beginning of the year, somebody said, hey, let's paint the script. We're going to have 5 anglers within 29 points for AOY. Guess what? Trey McKinney's going to be there again. Chris Johnson's not going to catch him this year. He's going to have a rougher year for him. I mean, he's still going to make the classic and still has won an event. He's had a great year, but by his standards, but guess who's going to catch him now? Big brother Corey. I mean, it sets up so incredible. So as a fan, I can't wait to watch it go down. And I look forward to seeing how it works out.
Yeah, I agree. And that's like one thing about Angler of the Year. Like, honestly, like thinking about it, I think I would rather win Angler of the Year than the Classic. I don't know why. I know the Classic's more money and all that, and it's great and everything. But when I think about it, it's like you're getting 9 tournaments of 100 guys, all year. And then like the Classic, you got 3 days with 50 guys, so it's better odds for somebody else better odds if you land on the right fish to win, something like that. But Angler of the Year is definitely something that means the most to me. And as forever as I'm on the tour, that's definitely going to be my goal for sure.
Do you visualize things? Like, do you hear some competitors and athletes and different things say they visualize? Like, do you visualize holding that AOY trophy? Or is that not a thing for you?
100%. But yeah, no, it's I definitely do some for sure, because I believe in a lot that your words and thoughts can become your actions and outcome. And you see a lot of other people say that, because I think it's true, because no matter if your outcome's negative, a lot of times that's what you get in return. And that's one thing I try to visualize as much stuff like that as possible, just to keep me striving forward. No matter if I fall, it just lets you get back up and keep thriving at it. So I definitely do. It definitely helps for me, for sure.
What is that when you visualize it? What does that moment feel like holding that trophy? If you had to give me an adjective of what emotion you feel at that moment, what is it?
I don't even know if there's a feeling that can explain what I'd feel at this point. Going, these last 2 years and this year going on, it means so much. I might just take off running across the stage through the crowd. There's no telling what I might do. It definitely get emotional, unfortunately. Because it definitely has been a long grind for it if it does end up happening. So I guess that's just a deal. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. My body might just do whatever it feels like.
Well, I look forward to seeing it, whether it's this year or a year in the future. I know it's going to happen for you, but I can't wait to watch this battle. We got 3 weeks of incredible tournaments ahead of us. It's going to be a fun one. I wish you luck. And, if you pull it off, we'll sit down and chat about this one more time afterwards.
Dang right. I'm looking forward to it. It'd be a good time.
Thanks, dude.
Absolutely. See you, buddy.
Well, it's not going to take us long to find out who is going to pull this off, because we are in it now. Just a few short hours away from kicking off stop 8 of the Bassmaster Elite Series, Lake Champlain this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Hope to see a bunch of you fine humpers down in Plattsburgh, New York. And then we'll have a week's break, and we'll be right back at it on the St. Lawrence River to finish things off in Clayton, New York. Everybody's got thoughts. Everybody's got opinions on who's going to pull it off. I'd love to hear yours in the comments. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Do all those things that help stroke the algorithm. And speaking of stroking the algorithm, I mean, you straight up heard Trey tell me, make the title juicy. And I would say we did. But it was a great conversation. You're great, fine folks for tuning in here each and every week, and I thank you for that. Humpers, go out in the world and make the world a better place. Because remember, everybody is fighting a battle. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. Be kind, spread happiness, spread friendliness, and let's try and make the world a better place. Oh boy, I got lit up on the road the other day. Speaking of making the world a better place. So totally my fault. Driving through a little town near Lake Simcoe, ton of construction going on. And I somehow end up on a road that is a one way, and I'm not going the right way. I mean, the other side of the road is shut down due to construction. So I'm like, well, white knuckle it. I mean, I'm almost at the end. The road is not that long. There's not a car in sight. But sure enough, I get 100 yards from the end of the road, and along comes a Mazda. Nothing against Mazda, but that's what the guy was driving. Maybe a Hyundai. I don't know. The guy was driving a small, compact SUV and coming at me, and I gave him the international sign for my bad. I'm sorry. I'm like, sorry. You know, that's supposed to defuse every moment, but it did not. He came hanging out his window, yelling swearing at me. There's a more educated word to say that, but clearly it can't come to my mouth right now. And he went off on me, called me all sorts of things. It's a one way, blah, 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 you know. And I said, I gave him the international sign for my bad. And as he passed, I said, hey man, I'm sorry, man. You never make a mistake? Or is that just what your parents do? Was I wrong? I mean, maybe, I don't know. Make the world a better place. Don't be a jackknife like me. Thanks for watching. Hope to see a bunch of you in Plattsburgh, New York. Until next time, enjoy being, and as always, Bob Cobb, take it away.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe because Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters told you to. You hear?